The chapter opens with Rorschach and Dan Dryberg, also known as Night Owl, in Antarctica, coming to visit Adrian Veidt. Before the two arrive, Adrian is telling his life story to a few of his servants. Adrian explains that he was born a very smart child and that he had to pretend to be dumber than he was to make himself look more average to stand out less. Adrian's parents died when he was really young, leaving him with a vast inheritance. He had an inconceivable amount of money and knowledge, and he could have lived a life full of luxury and ease. However, Adrian chose to donate every penny of his money. Adrian decided to literally follow in the footsteps of his idol, Alexander the Great, by embarking on the exact same journey that Alexander made several centuries earlier. On his last day on the journey, Adrian takes some psychedelic hallucination drugs in the desert of Egypt and he sees himself with the ancient kings. Adrian decides to adopt the name of Ozymandias. In a separate story, Joey/Josephine and Aline get into a fist fight on the street. The two are ex-lovers and they get into the fight over gay rights. On the other side of the street, many people observe the fight. One married couple, Gloria and Dr. Malcolm, happen to see the fight. Malcolm wants to break it up, but Gloria advises him to stay out of it. Gloria implores him to stay out of it because she thinks he could get hurt. Gloria gets so nervous that she says she will leave Dr. Malcolm if he gets involved. At this point in the story, many other characters are introduced. A kid is trying to buy a comic book from a vendor, and it turns out that both these people are named Bernard. Back in Antarctica, Dan and Rorschach make it up to Ozymandias' lair. Dan and Rorschach try and sneak up behind Ozymandias and ambush him, but Ozymandias senses them coming. Ozymandias beats the tar out of both of them. While Rorschach and Night Owl are hurt, Ozymandias explains his plan. Ozymandias wants to essentially put an octopus-type monster in New York, which kind of looks like an alien. The alien-looking creature is essentially a bomb, and the bomb is going to explode and kill at least thousands of people. In Ozymandias' mind, this is kind of a way to make all the governments come together because he thinks if everyone thinks that there's this alien trying to attack the world, and all the governments will be forced to come together, and this will kind of stop all the hatred from the Cold War, and this is Ozymandias' plan for world peace. This is where the reader kind of gets that mixed feeling. You know, they obviously were against it because it's killing a lot of people, but Ozymandias does have a good intention, even though I think Alan Moore wanted him to be the bad guy. Ozymandias reveals that he is the one that killed the comedian because he figured out about his plan. And then Ozymandias gave cancer to all of Dr. Manhattan's peers to make Dr. Manhattan look bad, before he came through with his plan. But Ozymandias reveals they are too late. The chapter ends with the bomb exploding and killing thousands of people.
Ozymandias always saw himself as a conqueror like Alexander the Great, or like the kings of ancient Egypt. When Alexander the Great conquered the Persian capital city of Persepolis, he burnt it to the ground. Following the tradition, Ozymandias destroyed the vivarium that he created. Believing that he was going to die when his plan was uncovered, he decided to take his technicians in creation along with him. Resembling how when a pharaoh dies, their servants die with them. However, Ozymandias had done what Alexander the Great had not. He brought people together in one, in unity. He foretold that if he did not do this, there would be a nuclear fallout and humans would kill each other and die off. He was going to sacrifice thousands of humans to save the peace for the rest. But how long will the peace last for? Like Dr. Manhattan says, nothing ends. Even though Ozymandias was successful, it is only temporary. Just like the ancient empires, they didn't last forever. When Ozymandias gives his "I did it 35 minutes ago" speech, we are able to see a painting behind him. The painting depicts Alexander the Great cutting the Gordian knot. The Gordian knot is a story about how Alexander the Great thinks outside the box. There was a knot in Gordium that no one could untangle. However, when Alexander the Great comes along, he cuts the knot in half with his sword. People celebrated him for solving problems with a different view than others. Ozymandias followed his way with how he attempted to unify the world.
On the title page of Chapter 11, we see this picture of a butterfly, which shows up throughout the whole chapter. It is shaped like the blood spatter on Blake's smiley face pin. The splatter is also shaped similar to an arrow, and is angled like the hour hand on the clock pointing to the 11th hour. It lives inside the dome that Vate has created, and if you notice, the butterfly also has the same colors as Vate. The butterfly is supposed to represent Vate. The colors are the same, and in every picture the butterfly alive is behind or next to Vate. Page 7, panel 1, page 8, panel 5 and 7, page 10, panel 2 and 6, and finally page 11, panels 1 and 3. In each of these pages and panels, the butterfly is right behind or next to Vate. On page 1, panel 2, it references to William S. Burroughs' writing technique and the novel Naked Lunch, in which Burroughs intended to make it so that you could read any chapter in any order, and it would still make sense. Multi-screen viewing is seemingly anticipated by Burroughs' cut-up technique. He suggested rearranging words and images to evade rational analysis, allowing subliminal hints of the future to leak through. This quote, taken from page 1, panel 2, certainly foreshadows the death awaiting the innocent butterfly. The name of Vate's cat is named Bubastis, which is derived from an ancient Egyptian city, also known as the Bubastite Nome. Bubastis was conquered by the Persians, and then they dismantled the walls of Bubastis. As mentioned before, Vate looked up to the ancient conquerors, just like how the Persians dismantled Bubastis. He destroyed the vivarium he created. On page 9, panel 7, the book Knots by R.D. Laing is referenced. Laing was a Scottish psychiatrist, and Knot was a poetry book about different human interactions, which is most likely why it is referenced here in The Watchmen, as we see humans start to turn on each other in a time of crisis. The chapter ends the same way it starts on page 28, panel 12, with two people that are being incinerated from Vate's master plan, and mold together to form the same symbols shown at the start, with the butterfly under the dome, showing a picture of the bloodstain from the comedian's smiley pen, and the hour hand striking possibly 11:30.
A long time ago, there was this Egyptian king named Ozymandias, also known as Ramses II. That was his Egyptian name. Ozymandias was tall and well built and was very self-confident. He was just filled with hubris. In the 19th century, an author named P.B. Shelley wrote a poem about Ozymandias. The poem described someone walking through an Egyptian desert and seeing a broken statue. However, the traveler could still make out who the statue was about. It was about a formal, powerful king named Ozymandias. On the statue was a sentence that read, "My name is Ozymandias, king of kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair." So Alan Moore obviously wanted to use Ozymandias as a power of symbol for Adrian Vate. Adrian adopted the name of Ozymandias and several traits as well. Ozymandias was physically strong and also a mighty ruler. On chapter 11, page 1, at the bottom, there is a large block of letters that says, "Look on my works, ye mighty." Moore is definitely trying to show this connection that Adrian sees himself as powerful and possibly even has too much self-confidence.
Another one of the allusions in the book is the irony of time. The whole time we are reading the book, we are led to believe that Doomsday would be at 12. However, at the end of chapter 11, on page 28, panel 1, you are able to see the time in a car reading 11:25 right as the bomb goes off, throwing us all off.